I am the queen of enjoying every moment, never wanting something good to come to an end, and a late checkout is the embodiment of that. I'm your host, Laura Janella. What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Late Checkout. Happy to have you back here. I hope your weeks are going okay. I know it is an absolutely crazy time of year right now. It's about to be holiday season. It is like hosting season. It is gift purchasing season. I know everyone's super, super busy, so I am sending lots and lots of calming and peaceful energy to everybody. It's a lot of running around, and I totally get it. Today's episode is going to be an introduction on what wellness means to me, because it is going to be a recurring theme, a topic that comes up. Wellness in general is a big umbrella of a word. It can mean so many different things. It has so many different facets to it. And I think that's why it just so naturally comes up in many of the conversations that I'll be having here at Late Checkout. I want to be as concise and intentional as possible with today's episode. So I'm breaking down what wellness means to me into three big pillars, which is physical, mental, and spiritual. I know wellness can have a lot more themes than that, but I feel like as an overall way of life of me trying to keep a mindfulness around wellness, that's, I think, the best way that I can break it down for you guys. I'm going to try to keep it high level because I know I can talk about this topic for many, many hours, and I'm not going to do that. But I am at the end of the episode going to recommend a fun little exercise to align with your future self. So stay tuned for that. And I also just wanted to say a full disclosure that when I get into talking about these rituals in all the aspects of the wellness pillars, I do not want this to come off as preachy. I am not preaching that I'm living this like well-rounded, beautiful wellness life. I am not. This is really the listing of things and tools and sources that I will use to track or keep up with my wellness, right? And that does not mean that it's consistent all the time. It is not at all. I mean, maybe there are very few times that everything is in balance, but it's so short-lived. Like, the reality is that wellness areas are prioritized by what is needing the most attention at that particular moment, right? Like, if you need more time to be spent working on your spiritual side or your physical side or your mental side, that's what's going to have the area of focus for you. That's what you're going to be working on the most, and that is completely okay. That's what we're supposed to be doing. I think in today's world, it's so beautiful that there's so many resources and tools and apps and tips and tricks out there for all of us to be able to use and utilize to help us just reconnect with the parts that feel out of whack. I also want to be clear that, like, the thoughts and reflections that I'm sharing, these are not things that I just like learned overnight and I'm just like, oh, here's a list, or oh, I do this every day and now everything's great. No, what I'm about to talk about today are a lot of things that I have picked up along the way in my adulthood. I just want to be able to have a really great intro conversation with you about what wellness means to me. All right, the first part about wellness I want to talk about is the physical aspect, because it's the first one that kind of sticks out to me. I feel like it's the one that people are engaged to the most when people think of wellness, right? And for me, physical wellness is really the practices that help me align to my body and align to my physical space around me, right? My physical body and my physical space around me, really meaning my home, because that's what I can mold and configure to be helpful for my overall wellness. And when it comes to my physical body, I want to honor my body. And there's so many ways that I feel like I can do that. The first and most obvious one to me is moving my body. Like, I absolutely love working out. There are so many days where I am dragging my feet to the gym. I'm dragging my feet to the workout, but I also know how essential it is for me now. It's a non-negotiable. I feel like a better person when I work out, when I really take that time, because it makes me feel like I'm putting time into myself. So I just feel like a better mom, a better person, a better partner, just all around makes me feel better. It's a journey that started for me in my early 20s because I started to realize just how sedentary I was at my job. I was an accountant, I was sitting at a desk most of the day, and I just felt so good when I did move my body. It released endorphins. It allowed me to also just unplug from being on the computer all day long, having a routine of a long shower once a week. The girlies on this podcast, I know you know what I'm talking about. That really long shower that we take, that it's just like a deep exfoliation of every inch of our bodies, shaving everything, putting oil if you want to put oil on, like to deeply moisturize, if you want a deep conditioner for your hair or a scalp massage. Just, ooh, and I also love to keep eucalyptus in the shower, like the essential oil, and put eucalyptus in the bath. Oh, it's a game changer. Highly recommend. But that type of shower is another way of honoring our bodies and giving us that moment of peace and time to honor the vehicle that's been moving us around this whole world. Another one is prioritizing good sleep, which is literally the hardest thing for me to keep consistent on my physical wellness list. It is not easy. I try so hard. I maybe get like 1 or 2 nights a week where I get really good sleep. But I do my best. I put a reminder on my phone of when to go to bed. I tell myself when I want to be asleep by. I have an alarm. But there's just so much that can happen with going to bed late, waking up in the middle of the night, waking up earlier than your alarm clock, not being able to go back to sleep. It's a toughie, but it is something that is a nice way to honor your body because it just refuels your brain. It allows all your organs to do the turnover that they need to do overnight, and it is extremely important. Another way I love to honor my body is being mindful about my food intake. Not the amount of it, not the quantity, but the quality. I unfortunately lost my dad a few years ago to cancer, and I just had this hyper fixation on the ridiculous amount of processed foods that I have consumed in my life. And it scared me because, after doing a lot of research, I learned that it like alters a lot of our cells, and it can, obviously, the ingredients can lead to a lot of really terrible diseases and things. And I really needed that wake up call to be mindful about the foods that I was putting into my body. So I really try to eat a lot of whole foods, a lot of nourishing foods. However, I'm a junk girly too. I love chips. I love cookies. I love ice cream. I love chocolate. I love burgers. I love fries, onion rings, give it all. I am not somebody who is going to preach about not indulging. Like, I actually am the opposite. I feel like I prioritize whole foods as much as I possibly can, that when I am craving those indulgences, I just do them. I just eat them. I don't feel bad about enjoying them because that also is a part of life, and it's also a way to honor your cravings and to enjoy. I mean, food is a level of enjoyment, and I don't want to deny myself that luxury. However, I don't want to be unintentional and be overdoing it, right? I really do feel the difference now that I have been much more mindful about the food that I'm eating. So it does just feel better to me to have those whole foods versus a lot of the junk food. But to each their own. Vitamins and supplements. I am a big vitamin and supplement girly. I'm also trying to incorporate a good relationship with my body in the sense of like listening to it. When I feel tired, for example, I don't want to resist that. I don't want to hate on it. I don't want to be like, oh, why am I so tired? I want to be able to be like, wait, why am I tired? Like, let me take a step back. Like, have I not been getting good sleep? Is there something some type of nutrition that I'm lacking? What time of the month is it? What cycle phase am I in? Because maybe I just feel more fatigued. But I try to just open up this door of like understanding my body in a different way than I used to. The last way and my favorite way of honoring my body is being able to go and utilize services that I cannot do for myself, like acupuncture. Absolutely love acupuncture. It makes me feel so much more aligned. I feel like it clears up stagnant energy in my body. And there's no way that I can, I think, process that type of energy flow myself. So I love the traditional Chinese medicine doctor that I go to. She does cupping, she does herbology, she does moxibustion. I love stuff like that. Or even just going for a massage. Like if your back is achy, love on your back, go for the massage. Or if you want to pamper yourself, if you want a facial, if you want obviously going to get your hair done, those are other ways to love on your body, and those are ways that I love to love on my body, right? Like those are things that I will never strip myself the pleasure of doing, just because I know that it is serving more than just the vanity aspect of it. It is serving as a ritual for me, and I love that. So when it comes to the physical space around me, right? Like moving on, in my home, decluttering. Decluttering is one of my favorite ways to honor the space around me, to keep my head level, to make me feel a little bit more balanced. I find myself at certain points of the year just like wanting to minimize, purge. Like, for example, changing our summer to winter clothes or our winter to summer clothes. Whenever that cycle is happening, I am like purging clothes. I love seeing that giveaway pile just like pile up in the corner, because it just makes me feel like, okay, these clothes are getting a second life, and I'm creating space in my home, which creates openness for new energies and new things to come in. A weekly ritual I do is to have fresh flowers in my home. It's just something that really brings me peace. I love seeing them, they make me happy. I love smelling them. It is just a little something that I have picked up as a habit along the way here living in Europe. And it's, I would say, a daily ritual that I have at home that I honestly, it's a reflex to me. Like I do it, so it's a habit, it's an instantaneous thing. I don't even think about it. It's just it's clockwork, it has to happen. Is having a moment at night after dinner where I dim the lights. I need like dim lighting in the living space that I'm hanging out in before I go to sleep, because I just feel like it helps my brain get quiet. It's like the time of night where my husband knows like I don't really want like overstimulating conversation. I kind of just want to get lost in reading or watch a TV show and just chill out. Like I feel like I'm go 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 all day, and this is my time and moment to really have my space reflect the phase of mental calmness I'm trying to reach before I go to sleep. All right, moving along here, I now want to talk about the mental aspect of wellness. This is to me like the meat and potatoes. Like, this is, I don't want to call it the most important part, because every aspect of this podcast I feel like is important. However, I do feel like this is one, if we could all prioritize a little extra time on, it serves us so much more good than we think. And I think it's a really easy one for us to kind of glaze over because we feel too busy or we feel like we don't need it. But it really does help if we put a little bit of a spotlight on it, even if it's for 5 minutes a week. The way I look at mental wellness is bringing balance to your mental health, right? And that can come in so many different ways. The areas I kind of like to focus on are, firstly, hobbies. I like to incorporate things that light me up at some point during the week. Reading for leisure. I grew up reading. I absolutely love reading. And for so long in my 20s, I had like completely let go of reading for leisure. And now it's something that I try to make a non-negotiable. Maybe not daily, but definitely a few times a week, as much as I possibly can, is to just have 10 minutes before I go to sleep, is to read a book and get lost in it, because it just reconnects me with my inner child. I feel like it expands my imagination. I feel like my brain is functioning better when I do read for leisure, and makes me feel a little bit more fulfilled. Another thing I love is walking in nature. I mean, luckily I have a dog to be able to go into the woods with her, because I just feel like it connects me to nature. I feel grounded. It, clears my headspace. It gives me time to just think, or if I want to listen to a podcast, or if I just want to listen to music, it gives me a little bit of me time. Another thing that I've picked up, which is kind of cute, my husband bought me this gift for Mother's Day this year, and it was that painting by numbers thing, which, oh my God, my algorithm on Instagram was just like nonstop with it for so long. And he knew that I wanted one, but he got me one that's a picture of me and my son together. So it's like the most intricate. It's going to be months before I finish this, but I'll try to carve out like 20 minutes a week to just sit and focus on it. And I really do feel like it helps clear my mind a bit. I've never been one to like paint before, and it feels good. It's nice. It does light me up and it makes me happy. And another thing I like to prioritize, and it doesn't happen every week, but it is something that truly lights me up, is just spending time with people who bring me life, who bring me joy, who bring me laughter, who give me support, who give me realness, who just I can banter with and talk to. And it just recharges me to be around really good company. So as much as I possibly can, I try to schedule that in. To that point, it kind of flows right into my next part of mental wellness, which is building a support system. Having a support system of people who just truly get me, who understand me, who accept me like through and through, flaws, the good stuff, the highs, the lows, and who just love me for everything that I am. That is something that is so unique, and it is something that I feel like I had to just genuinely carve out and find and to know and to detail truly who those people were in my life. Two of my therapists have actually, like, on the first session, they have asked me, like, who is your support system? And I think having them ask me that is what made me aware of how important that is. It can be in family, it can be in friends, it can be in your therapist, it can be in a pen pal. It's really just who makes you feel like your authentic self is fully worthy, and that's, like I said, it's a very special bond if you have that. And it's nice to also be that for other people, and hopefully you're reciprocating that for your support system as well. But yeah, building that support system for me was a necessity and has been insanely helpful for my mental health in general. In this chapter of my mental health journey, I have really prioritized this pillar, and it's been incredibly important to me because it's something that if I don't have a pulse on, I feel very out of whack. I don't feel like my true authentic self, and there are so many things I utilize because I don't like using the same thing over and over and over again. I like it to be different. One of them is journaling. I absolutely love journaling, obviously just freehand journaling, but I also love apps like To Be Magnetic, where they have journal prompts and they help you write about very specific things, whether it's connecting with your inner child or connecting with a shadow or connecting with your authentic self and your magnetic self. I absolutely love the To Be Magnetic app. I'm a Pathway member and I couldn't recommend it more. They just have so many great professionals that help create the framework for you to use at home in this very easy way. And I find it insanely beneficial. Therapy, I find therapy to be the most beneficial tool, and the stigma that still is present around it, I find baffling, because these are doctors for your mental health, just like you have a doctor for your brain or a doctor for your stomach. And I feel like it should just be a norm at this point. I have done cognitive behavioral therapies, compassionate therapies, EMDR, internal family systems, and I have found all of them to be incredibly helpful for all different points of my life and different ways in my life. For those of you who haven't done therapy, have fun with it. There's just so many versions of it now. Like, try hypnotherapies, or the therapies that use like microdosing to like somatically release, traumas in your body, or cognitive behavioral, or like I said, EMDR, internal family systems. Like, there's just so many ways to approach it depending on like what you're looking for. So those are my heavy hitters, right? Like, typically I have therapy. Right now I'm really using the TBM app. I absolutely love journaling. I feel like these are my best ways to really check in and prioritize my mental health, like, a few times a week. I think it's just fun to play with all of the different tools and resources that are out there at this moment, like even free resources. Like, I'm sure there's YouTube videos for breath work and for meditations, and I'm sure there's guided meditations, and there's just so many different ways that you can have access to it now. All right, I'm going to move on to the third pillar, spiritual. The spiritual pillar of wellness to me is my connection to myself. to my higher self, to my beliefs, to the universe, to God, and my true essence. That's what I find spirituality to be. And how do we honor those things, right? Like, this obviously overlaps a little bit with mental wellness here as well, but it goes a little bit more on the woo-woo scale, which I love. So here we go, buckle up. I wrote down some things that I feel like would be the typical questions when it comes to spirituality that I've asked myself in the past, which is, who am I? What's my purpose here? What do I truly want out of life? What higher beings or sacred items or places can I have faith in to call on or go to in tough times to bring my spirit peace or balance? And I feel like those answers evolve, they change, they go through their own journey of how you answer them. And I think that's also the beautiful part of spirituality. There is no right or wrong, it's just what feels right for you. It's so personal. And I feel like one of the main ways to start getting a connection to that, if you feel a loss of it, is spending time alone, which is so hard to do because we just have so much access to everybody and everything right now. But really, spending quality time alone has helped me reflect, connect, and allowed me the space to have some of those answers come up just naturally, just out of intuition. For my own spirituality, it's constantly evolving, and I love it that way because I feel enlightened every so often that I add something to my list or I take something off my list if it's not resonating anymore with me. But, I believe in energy, I believe in the universe, I believe in God. I believe in human design and astrology. I also believe in the power and reality of manifestation. I believe in divine timing and I believe in nature. That's just a rambling of some of the things that I find that get me spiritually connected or plugged in. But I definitely wanted to share, I wrote down just things that I do, weekly or daily or monthly that I practice to help me feel aligned with my spirituality. One I've mentioned before is nature walks with my dog. Another is being grateful. And I say this in the aspect of having those moments that hit you where, it can be me sitting on my couch and seeing my dog and my son playing together. And I just have this moment of like overwhelming love and just joy and peace and happiness. And I just feel lucky. I feel blessed. And I'm grateful in those moments. And I'm grateful in bigger moments, obviously, in bigger milestone moments, but just those small moments where you're like, wow, like, this is life, this is amazing, like, thank you. And I'll just whisper to myself, like, thank you, universe, thank you, God. I find that makes me feel more aligned, and it also makes my feeling of love and happiness just feel that much more amplified. I do something I'm going to call it silly. It's not silly, but there's this account on Instagram called Moon Omens, and they post on a monthly basis the expectations for each sign. And when they post the Sagittarius expectations, I actually screenshot it and make it my background of my phone for that month so I can remember what my expectations are for that month. And it just helps me feel like, oh, okay, I have something that I'm like working towards in that month. I love to intention set when I'm feeling lost. Burning Palo Santo to help clear any negative energy or negative thoughts that I'm having or any negative feelings I have around the house if I want to clear the space. Lighting candles is a big spiritual connector for me. And I mean this in the aspect of lighting them for the people who have passed. I pray for them, and it also allows me to feel connected to them. I talk to my dad a lot in my head. For those of you who have lost a parent or have lost somebody who's close to you, you probably get what I mean when you just can kind of almost hear that person responding to like a random question or thought like you had to yourself, and I find that makes me feel spiritually connected to him, and I love that. There are also times in my life where I notice a lot of synchronicities and like noticing signs. I feel like that gives me a sense of spiritual connection. Going to a metaphysical store and like picking out crystals that are just calling to me, that make me feel like I there's like an energy I'm missing, and that stone's going to give me that energy, or that stone is going to give me protection from an energy that's present in my life that needs to go away. There's times where I fall into like a victim mindset or a scarcity mindset. I try to catch myself and like reverse those thoughts and think in an abundance mindset, or try to understand if something is happening to me that is actually happening for me. I feel like those are spiritual practices that allow me to feel a little bit more divine when all the human things are happening to you and you can't help it. Praying for other people is something I also love to do. And another, which is one of my favorites, another practice is using the new moons and the full moons to round up a list of things that I either like to let go or I'd like to call in. Which, okay, so there is a new moon on December 1st, and that's coming up. So for those of you who would like to try this on for size, I say do it, okay? This is my little bonus recommendation to help you align yourself with your future self that I mentioned at the beginning of the episode. So, and this is not just for people who believe in astrology or manifesting or all the woo-woo stuff. This is literally for everybody. I think this is a great practice exercise, and look at it as just a way for you to come together with yourself and make a list of things that you have been truly wanting or yearning for that just haven't come to you yet. You can look at this as like planting seeds into super fertile soil because the new moon just makes the manifestation soil very fertile for everybody. And it's the perfect time to set intentions. So take advantage of it. It's 10 days away and you have some time to think about it and reflect. But I am somebody who believes in the power of pen to paper. So definitely for this exercise, it won't be something on the notes on your phone. It won't be on your laptop. It will be just take any piece of paper, doesn't matter if it's printer paper, if you have a journal or whatever, but take out that piece of paper and use it for this exercise, all right? Because really writing it down allows you to give a lot more meaning and purpose to each word. It allows you to feel the emotion behind the things that you're writing about. So whatever it is that you're looking to call in gives it that extra personal touch that it needs because you're writing it out yourself. If you are woo-woo like me, this is a new moon in Sagittarius, so that means a lot of things. But the two things I want you to keep in mind is, one, Sagittarius represents optimism. It represents expansion, philosophy, travel, bigger, brighter things, right? It's ruled by the planet Jupiter. So think in those aspects, think in those ways. You can really call in something large. It doesn't need to be small. Just think as big as you possibly can, and it makes it that much more fun. And the second thing to consider here is that when the next full moon in Sagittarius occurs, which will probably be in about 6 months, that'll be the perfect time to come back to this list and kind of reflect like, okay, did something from this list come through? Is there something on this list that I no longer need anymore? Is there something on this list that I just really wanted out of ego, so I don't want to call it anymore? Is there something on this list that has come full circle for me at this point? But I digress on that. Let's move forward and get into the exercise. Okay, so come December 1st, all of you will take out that piece of paper and beautiful pen. You can give or take a day or two. Usually like those new moon energies are kind of hanging out for a couple days. So carve out 10 to 20 minutes of a day, just one day, 10 to 20 minutes. Yes, you can. Prioritize it. Do it. Do it. It could be during your coffee in the morning. It could be right before you go to sleep at night. Make it so it's a time where you are a little bit more clear-headed and you can just focus on getting this stuff down on paper. And think about what you want to call in. Like really, it could be anything. Think big, think small. It can be physical. It can be non-physical. It doesn't need to be material in any facet at all. You can be, maybe you're yearning for more confidence at work. Maybe you're wanting to call in a network of supportive people, or you want to call in a new group of friends, or maybe you want to change your routine or prioritize a piece of your life that you haven't been able to prioritize. Maybe you want to call in a new job. Maybe you're yearning to move to a big city or a new city. Whatever it is, we're going to take each manifestation one by one and write about it. And we're going to get as detailed as possible, right? So if you want a new job, describe it. Like, what type of skill sets do you want to be using? What type of culture do you want in the department? What type of benefits do you want? What type of salary do you want? What do you want your commute to look like? Go into detail, because this will allow you to feel the joy of getting this new job. If that smile starts to come across your face and you get that butterfly in your stomach when you're just writing about it, imagining it and pretending like it's there, like that is such a good sign that you are really in tune with what it is that you want. Even if you're looking for smaller dose things, you can go as detailed as you want, or you can just keep it high level as well. For me, I'm a very be careful what you wish for kind of person, so I like to get as detailed as possible, but have fun with it. This is a time for you to align with your future self, to align with your future goals. I personally love this exercise as it allows me to have it allows me to feel just very intentional about what I want. It makes me feel like all the thoughts in my head of things that I'd like, things that I want, big or small, that they're not just circling in my head, that I actually get them down on paper and I'm doing them intentionally at a time of the month that feels like the universe or God or whomever or no one is just listening the most. So if you guys try it out, please let me know. I'd love to hear what you think. All right. Thanks for listening, guys. I am wishing you all a week filled with positive and loving energy, and I will see you next time. Ciao, ciao.